Welcome to the Lift Your Story podcast with guest Mira, Katyal, Ayurveda consultant and Reiki Master. Hi everyone, I'm Lorianne. I am that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I am with...
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to our Lift Your Story podcast.
In this episode, we welcome Mira Katyal. She is a Ayurveda consultant and Reiki Master. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, well,
How do you do?
So you came from a family of 4 doctors, but
Correct.
you chose not to be, I guess, a doctor. You're a psychologist.
Well, I studied psychology, then I studied business management. So not exactly stuck to psychology, but now I've come back a full circle.
Yeah. Well, you did some marketing for like 20 years, right?
Yes, correct.
So in that realm, how did you end up going the other way from the quote corporate world?
Okay, so I think it's my curiosity. I always look for answers, and my parents were doctors, and everything is like, take a pill or something like that. But when I started learning and investigating things like immunity, and if you read alternative holistic people, it always ends a lot with meditation and God and rightful living, taking care of your body, mind. So I just realized that this is more whole. That's why it's called holistic science, because it covers from A to Z, your whole body, mind, and spirit. And I realized this is a more complete healing. Not only that, when you implement it inside your body, you feel better. Like if you take just pop a pill for anxiety and you did some of the things like yoga or breathing or herbs for anxiety, you will actually feel very different. Like it's a personal touch is what I would say. This science.
Well, I don't know how it is in Canada, but here in the U.S., I know back around the 70s, holistic medicine really started taking off. It was kind of after the 60s and all that stuff, and people were starting to look for more alternative things, more natural things. But the problem here is our government and the pharmaceutical industry, they try to push that down. They don't want that.
That's true.
Now, is it the same way in Canada?
I think there are some, you cannot just tout anything, but the movement is coming from the people. People are just searching and searching for this kind of knowledge and science. And it's not usually the family doctor who suggests you these remedies. It's usually you come up with across a friend or a guide, or it's your own research. So it's true. I don't know why they push back. One could be profit, the other is accountability, which I agree with. You should be accountable, whether you are in the pharmaceutical industry or herbal industry, doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, the consumer should receive a good and reliable product. But the thing is that pharmaceutical will never be whole. It cannot heal your mind and soul.
No.
We will always need something beyond that.
I heard that there's a saying too. I mean, I don't know. I don't preach anything, but there's an interesting thing in the books out there. And I know I'll specifically say the Bible itself that states that there's on earth pretty well everything that you need to heal yourself. And they're not talking way back then. They weren't talking about, the today medical industry. They were literally talking about herbs and all of that there is something to heal pretty well everything. I am not advocating that that's the absolute truth, but I found that really interesting because I think that's where the whole holistic came from, is going, yes, we're going to find those natural herbs and those natural things that can help you heal.
Well, Ayurveda is based on a philosophy which explains the creation of the world also. So the thing is that the universe was born complete, including the earth. And even without science, life was thriving. We don't need science to create life. We only need science to understand life. That's all. Life is self-sufficient, If you go to the forest, all animals and plants are thriving. So it's whoever is living has what it needs. except mankind has the ability to participate in that creative process intelligently and consciously, not like the plant or animal who just instinctively do what they're supposed to do. So we can choose to disregard health, is what I'm saying. We can choose to be sick or unhealthy or imbalanced, because we it is up to us, each one of us, to tune into nature or to tune out.
Yeah. So with your parents being doctors, and I don't know what kind of doctors they are, you know, are they open to the holistic approach to medicine?
um, so Ayurveda is very well known in India, and then the Western sciences came into India, and they did have a superiority over holistic medicine, in the sense you have vaccines, you have antibiotics, you have quick methods to take care of emergency surgery, accidents, and so it has quick turnaround. So people started elevating science and kind of neglected their own stuff. My mother is very spiritual, but I think you have to learn this knowledge. It doesn't just come to you.
Mhm.
Just like you have to learn science, you have to learn this knowledge. It was once upon a time in all cultures very common knowledge, but we have all forgotten it and we don't know how to live with it any longer. But it is, if you listen, if you look at the very basic stuff, you'll find that it should have been common knowledge and it is very intuitive. But somehow we've all forgotten how to live like that anymore.
Yeah. Like it's like growing up as a young kid, you know, your grandmother had all these little let's call them cures. I mean, you know, if you got a scrape or something, I'll put some of this on it, you know, and
Exactly.
it wasn't mercurochrome, it wasn't iodine, it was, you know, something. And you know, you said, what? Don't worry, it'll fix it, you know. And I can remember being young, you know, like before grade school, and those kind of things that happen, and then say, oh, here, take a pinch of this or do this, you know, and then, you know, we I'll say we grew out of that because everything was
Exactly.
changing back
Yes.
like in the 60s.
You're
Things
right.
really
So
changed in the 60s.
it is true. Our grandparents had that knowledge, and this generation in between ourselves and our grandparents, there was a transformation where we became more technologically and scientifically embedded in knowledge. And I think we just lost that home remedy culture all across the world, I guess.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, like
really.
the honey and tea when you're, and I just want to make sure, sorry for interjecting, but Roy, I hope it wasn't salt being put on your wound.
No, no, but I can remember when you had issues with dental or what we call canker sores or whatever, then it was warm salt water, rinse with warm salt water.
Yes,
But I mean, it worked.
it
It
did work.
worked,
Yes.
you know, instead of having a bunch of other stuff, you know. So it's just funny when you think back on those
I
days.
find that those same things are coming, but through products. Like they will say, if you go to the store, buy this herbal soap and buy this bath bomb with herbs and all the skin creams with herbs. Now it's like the pharmaceutical is now introducing the same thing in their products, which I think is like a roundabout way when you can just use the products directly in your own home, you know?
Yeah,
And they're charging way more for it because
Exactly.
you
yeah,
can make your own soap for way less with all of that. But
Exactly.
it's for those, you know, like you said, with technology, everything fast, people just want to go buy something off the shelf.
yeah, yeah. It's all convenience.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I don't want to have to go search this store and this store. I can go here. I can go to Walmart and get everything I need, right? You know,
That system where we used to do our own stuff in the home has been lost. People don't even make breakfast nowadays. They just buy a coffee. How much time does it take to just make your own drink? But it's a culture now.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a culture to not go in the kitchen and do anything, you know?
I'm sorry, but I really have a hard time going to McDonald's and buying an egg McMuffin when I know that I can make it at home for a fraction of the price. I could probably make 5 of them for the one I'm buying there.
Exactly.
And you know what's going in it. Not to say
Exactly.
McDonald's, I do like it. They do have the fresh eggs and everything. But what I'm just saying is I know how much butter I'm putting in it. I know the ingredients that are going in it with it. So, but yeah, I agree with you. It just is becoming, it's so quick, it's so fast. And I think I love what you're doing though, but, and Reiki, tell us a little bit more about that, because that's always fascinated me.
Reiki came from Japan. Mikao Usui was a kind of a spiritual kind of a person. And he, of course, had ups and downs in his life. And he was meditating on a mountain and he received this knowledge. So he then spread it around. It wasn't so well known, but one of his student brought it to America, Hawaii, Takata. So she spread it in her own version, and that's the one most popular around the world. And again, it's a beautiful thing in the sense, like, I would say that most of the problems that bother us in the home can be fixed inside the home, like 50% at least, unless you've fallen down or you've had a major accident or you have you need heart surgery. I think that for very small things, we should all try to learn healing tools. And they're not just healing tools, they're tools of love and healing. Because when you give Reiki, the person is not only receiving healing, the person is also receiving love, touch, communication, care from another person. And we should be doing more of these things. This is what life is all about, taking care of each other. Starting with the homemaker, mother or father, whoever. The mother teaches her little babies love and to spread the love out in the neighborhood. If you don't keep that tradition up, again, when they grow up, they'll not do it. So you see, you keep losing your touch with every generation.
Yeah,
Like
because
that.
when I was growing up in the 50s, when I was a young kid, that was the neighborhood, the neighbors. It was everything. It was, you went out, you would go out and talk to your neighbors. If you needed something, you go to your neighbors. They would watch your place. I mean, and then we just got away from that. And I think a lot of it, thinking back on it, is in the 60s, probably the mid 60s, a lot more women were into the workforce. And so when I was a kid growing up in the 50s, if a woman worked, the husband was looked down on because he couldn't take care of his family. But in the 60s, that all shifted to where more women were in the workforce. And I think that mother child bond and I think it just suffered a little bit. The family unit, I think, suffered a little bit.
I think that what we have done is, as the woman has worked outside, is subcontracted their role to outsiders like teachers and daycare workers. But obviously, that bond cannot be with what a mother will have or the homemaker will have 1:1. And I'm not saying that the woman shouldn't work, but the thing is that nature designed the primary function of the homemaker to spread that knowledge and love and skills of healing and cooking and keeping in touch with other people in the community. And we have to find a balance, I would say. I think this is what COVID taught us, is that we can still function with less work, less transportation, less commuting, less busyness.
Yeah, I think it was a huge mind shift transition, I think. Because people, well, you can't do that. Well, all of a sudden, well, yeah, you can. When
Everybody
you
can, from the prime minister to Google to
when,
hospitals.
when you're forced to, you adapt.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so people think, well, I can't do this from home. I can't do this, and well, all of a sudden they're doing it, and now they don't want to go back to work.
Exactly. You see, I think a lot of us realized it's very nourishing to have a slower pace of life. And we're still doing well, unless you lost your job or you lost someone in your family to COVID. But most of us are just slower. And we've noticed a lot of things, like we're talking more, we're paying a lot more attention to things inside the house. Even we are talking more to our neighbors, So this time has helped us all to look inwards, I would say.
Yeah. And I think too, what it did is that although we're on Zoom and we're using our technology probably more in some capacities, I think we also got to the point where we're also taking time away from technology because it almost became all it was at the beginning of COVID. And I do believe, I was telling this to my parents, and they're in their 80s, and I told my mom to get off her phone so I can talk to her. She's got her smartphone. Put it down, get off Facebook, Mom. But no, I was saying though that I think also that some of the anxiety, as you were talking, like people are anxious, and instead of popping a pill, there's other ways of dealing with it. I think one of them is to just watch how much technology you're on. I really honestly believe that that's part of our anxieties today.
Actually, you're very right. I can explain that Ayurvedically. So there are 5 elements that compose the universe: space, air, fire, water, and earth. And these 5 elements constitute 3 basic constitutions. So there is Vata, which is more space and air. Then there's Pitta, which is more fire and water. And there's Kapha, which is more water and earth. And we all have a combination of this. Someone will have more of water and earth in their constitution. Someone will have more of fire. So when you have excess of air and space, anxiety increases. And it's good up to a point, but after that, it creates imbalance. It's like the wind becomes a storm. So when you have too much movement, too much technology, not enough rest time, your senses are always occupied, your anxiety will increase, because the only way to calm anxiety is to be quiet and nourished, and like sleeping well really helps anxiety. So if you have broken sleep, that is not going to help your anxiety. So this is one of the ways Ayurveda helps you. It works on your sleep, which indirectly reduces your anxiety.
Okay.
That's a
So,
good point.
But
yeah.
sleep is also meditation, and sleep is also just not watching TV.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned sleep because my mom had some issues with numbness in her hands and arms. And so the doctor said, well, you probably need to go see a neurologist. Well, everyone she contacted, they say, oh, we only do sleep. That's all we do is sleep. And so I'm thinking, well, there must be a huge problem with sleep going on if all the neurologists are focused only on sleep.
Because the nervous system and sleep are connected. So when you sleep properly, the nervous system relaxes. Otherwise, the nervous system is in high strung mode. If it is not getting enough sleep, it is always on a busy mode, like a highway. But when there's sleep, it relaxes. But if your sleep is poor, the nerves cannot relax. So when you get up, you are high strung. Instead of getting up refreshed, your nervous system didn't release and relax.
I need to ask my mom about that. I'm going to see her tomorrow. I'm going to ask her about that if she's sleeping well, because really, that might be part of her issue.
It is the core issue. It is the root. So that's the source of the disturbance in our body. So the nervous system is upset.
Wow, that's interesting.
So what if you're stressed and you can't sleep? I mean, that just doesn't, that's like a catch
Vicious
22.
cycle. It is a vicious
Yeah.
cycle. So this is what it is. In Ayurveda, there are 2 cycles, the balanced cycle or the imbalanced. So it depends on which one you're living. So imbalance feeds imbalance and balance feeds balance. So of course we use Ayurvedic techniques to get you back into the balance cycle by sleeping better, eating better, taking herbs, breathing better, exercises, whatever. But you have to find out what is your original constitution and what are the imbalances that are affecting your body, mind, and emotions.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So emotional distress, lifestyle therapy. So tell us a little bit about that.
So in our thinking in Ayurveda, everything is one: the emotion, the body, and the mind. So as you said, your mother could not sleep because of the neurological disturbance. And because of that, when she gets up, she should be irritable, anxious, high strung because she didn't sleep. So now what has happened? The body has affected the pinch in the nerve, and when she gets up, her mood is disordered. So emotional distress, de-stress, lifestyle therapy means what are the emotions that are bothering you? Where are you imbalanced? What is your original constitution, and how can we get you back to balance so that you sleep better, eat better, digest better, feel better? If you're digesting better and sleeping better, I would say 50% of your ills will go away. Then the rest of the 50%, counseling and Reiki will help. I mean, not 50%, I would say 25%. And 25% I leave to the grace of God.
Uh,
I like that. Well said.
the digestive system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, starting to see a lot now coming out about, well, if this is happening, you're something wrong with your digestive system. So how important is your digestive system to
It is
balance?
one of the most important because the gateway to the body is through the digestive system or the mouth. And the mouth means eating and also speaking. People who are always busy and not meditating, like silence is also a source of nourishment, is what I'm trying to say. That's one source of nourishment. It directly nourishes your emotions and mind. But food nourishes the body. And if the gateway to the body is not working properly, that's the first line of defense for the body. So upset stomach, upset digestion means your whole body is now dependent on a dysfunctional digestive system, and your body is not being nourished properly because now it's fighting fires, trying to put out fires all the time, 24/7, which is like bloating, acid reflux, um, nausea, not being swinging between constipation, diarrhea. This is all symptoms of digestive disorder or imbalance. It is not a major thing that you have bloating, but it is a sign and symptom that your digestive system is not up 100% okay.
Yeah.
And eventually, with time, this digestive system is going to make you anxious, angry, and irritable over 10, 15 years because you are now feeding that imbalanced cycle.
Yeah.
Quiet, Roy. I know what you're thinking.
No, but I mean, there's just so much, out there. There's so much out there about the digestive system and how important it is. And it seems like now there's just there's so many things they're finding out that, well, the reason you have this issue is because your digestive system is not functioning properly. And, I don't think people really realize how important that is.
Yeah.
Interesting fact. So I was going to say, interesting fact. I know that when I can't sleep at night, I wake up the next day, my stomach is actually bloated. If I have a good night's sleep, my stomach is fine the next day. And it's the equivalent to the amount of hours I can sleep is how well I feel about it. I mean, it's not like it's horrible, but I can tell. I'll sit there and I'll go, oh, didn't have enough sleep last night, Lorianne. It's like, I just know it automatically. But some people don't understand that they're associated. The amount of sleep that you have with that sort of thing can also.
So when the
I mean, I'm not a doctor,
awake,
but I figured that out on my own. Like,
yeah, I mean, see, this is what you call intuitive observation plus connecting the dots. So when the body is active, its muscles are contracted to do any work, digestion, walking, looking at TV. Our muscles are moving and they contract. But if you don't let them rest ever, they will stay in that state, and then the pain starts. So sleep is the time when everything relaxes. But if your sleep is not good, then your body didn't get the time to relax. So your digestive system also did not get time to relax. So next morning when you want to eat, it's not in good. It's like saying, oh, can I be absent today? I don't want to go to work today.
oh, that's lovely.
Well, so Mira, how can our listeners reach out to you?
They can reach me through my website where I have all the information. Mira Om, MIRAOM.com. But even to give all sorts of information out, I have my podcast, Zen Time, with Goddess of Healing. I have my Instagram, I have Facebook. But the website is the best way to send a query and reach out to me.
Great. Yeah,
Really appreciate this. Thank you so much for being our guest. That was very interesting.
yeah, I learned quite a bit. I had no idea. So yeah, it was great.
What you learned only about the way you live your life every day.
Yeah, but I mean, I just had no idea, of the things that in your body, how they affect how you live. You just don't really think about it, you know. So yeah,
I just want
definitely.
to give a very tiny, interesting example because before I learned Ayurveda, I was like, we don't notice this connection between the body and mind. And my daughter is she's more air and space, and she gets quickly depleted and high strung. So she tends to have a lot of motion sickness, and she gets very tired after a airplane ride because she doesn't have enough, you know, support systems inside her body. And she came from a long trip from USA, and we were going to a camp, and she was not feeling good, and we didn't want her to miss out. So earlier I would have forced her to come on the car ride, which was a 2-hour car ride, and which would have actually made her more sick. But after studying Ayurveda, I realized she needed the rest. So I made her a warm drink, and I made her some warm, like a stew, because that soothes the stomach. And I told her to just have this all day and rest. And the next day she phoned and said, I'm okay now. So this is what I have changed. Like I realized when these Vata people deplete easily, so they need to rest after a little bit of strain. Just a car ride can strain them out.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
a short rest can help them recover without aggravating anything in the next day.
yeah, we're always in too big a hurry. We got to get this. We got to do this. We gotta go here, go there, go here. So rest
Exactly.
is kind of the last thing you do. Period. Instead of making it.
There's some places in Europe that they're smart because they still have their siesta after in the afternoon. So
Yeah, but I mean, we're all just so go, 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 hurry, 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 that, rest is the last thing you do. I mean, you put that off because you've got to go here, you've got to do this. And,
or there's the MOFO, or no, FOMO, fear of missing out. They call it, yeah,
yeah,
FOMO, fear of missing out. So they
yeah,
don't want to sleep because they don't know if they,
yeah,
which is
exactly.
crazy because you're going to live longer life if you do sleep properly. Most, I can't say 100%, but
Yeah,
you're most likely to live a longer life. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise.
yeah, yeah.
Very true.
But
Like you say, your body resets, everything relaxes. So the
yeah,
next day you're ready to go,
yeah,
as opposed
very
to being
interesting.
still knotted up because I didn't get everything done yesterday. Oh, I got to do twice as much today. That kind of stuff. So
That was great. Thanks again, Mira. I really appreciate being here. And
yeah,
yeah, thank you for being a guest.
Thank you, Roy and Laurie. Thank you so much.
all right.
Okay,
Thank you.
take care.
Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to visit us at lifterstory.com.